Hello fellow sim racers and welcome to another Assetto Corsa Competizione GT4 pack preview. This time we are piloting the spaceship, the KTM Crossbow GT4, which I think is one of the better sounding cars in the game. It's certainly one of the better looking cars in the game if you're into lots of really straight lines and triangles, and well, I am. So let's see what it's like in racing conditions. We get a rocket start. Wow, that's would definitely be penalised in real life. Let's slot in behind the AMG Mercedes, otherwise all hell will break loose. Got a nice bit of room on the outside though, be able to take the Mercedes down into turn 2. As far as starts go, that's taken us from 15th to, well, God knows where, because we have to wait till we go through the first sector to find out. An understeering had to get out of the power, and in fact the Mercedes got past us again. That understeer, wow, huge amount of turning oversteer, and then a bit of a tank slapper midway through turn 3 just to keep things interesting. Wow. So the reason for all of that is, and I know I've mentioned this before in all these other videos, is, well, there's no tyre warmers, so there's no tyre pressure early on, there's no tyre heat, and no grip. And it turns out the KTM, early on in the race, particularly front limited it seems, up until the point where it's not. And that's led for some pretty interesting moments through turn 2 and 3, trying to avoid hitting the AMG on the outside. Move finally done means I can go after this BMW. Now the reason I'm racing this, wow, as the car went light over the bump there, not an issue at all in the GT3s, but wow, in this KTM GT4, where again, tyres not really where they should be yet, that was scary. Had the front end lift, yeah, which I thought felt like understeer, but then it gripped back up and got a whole bunch of oversteer for good measure. Wow. I would class this as a pretty entertaining first lap. Now I do need to be a bit careful with these curbs, he says, as he just clatters across the top of the exit curve there, because with the low tyre pressures it is very, very easy to pick up punctures, like particularly at Zolder, where abusing the curbs that otherwise you just avoid in the GT3s is pretty much the rule of the game. I'm not following my own advice at all, am I? I think that much is very clear. Car's starting to feel a little bit better, nowhere near as bad as it was last time around. Have horrible lift-off oversteer as we go into the fast right-hander. Whew. Been a busy first lap and a third. We can brake roughly at the light pole, but not if you touch the grass like that. Smash across the curbs, somehow hope to God that I don't get a puncture for that. But I just wanted to cruise up to the back of this BMW. We're not going to be close enough to make a move into the chicane, but we can take a lot more curb than the AI and run nice and close on the run down to the tight right-hander, which sort of exposes the fact I don't really know the corner names. Now, what's going to happen with the car here? Try and straight line it a bit more. That was much more sensible. Let's go for a send, which will bring us back up to the back, I should say, of the other KTM Crossbow. BMW is coming back at us a little bit here, so I'm going to push him to the outside of the track. Look how much traction he got off of that corner. He's just gone. I think in my exclamation I got stuck on the rev limiter at the end there, which sort of exaggerated that a little bit, but wow. And that does sort of expose one of the issues I've been finding with a KTM, which is that it just doesn't quite seem to have the pull. Look, again, BMW starting to move away in the mid-range from us. Early on in the acceleration zone out of the corner, it didn't seem... Wow, there we go, there's that lift-off oversteer again. Early on in the acceleration zone, he didn't seem to have much of an advantage on us, but you saw just down the middle of the straight, he went away. I don't know if that's likely to change, if Kunos adjusts the BOP, or if that's just correct for these cars. But yeah, one of the points I wanted to make is I braked far too late. That was not the fault of the car, that one. That was 100% in the chair. Yeah, as Kunos may update the BOP, I don't really know, but one of the big characteristics of this car is, for me at least, how lacking it is in mid-range grunt. I think I need to concentrate just a tiny bit more on the driving, because at the moment the rears don't really seem to be where they want to be. No time gained on the track limits. Again, something I suspect the track limits have been slightly altered actually for this GT4 pack. I could be wrong, but I seem to be able to take the mickey just quite a lot more than I was able to with the GT3 cars through a few places at Zolder, both of the chicanes being the most notable. Right, see, again, we stuck with the BMW to start with, but he's just gone. How are we going to get past this guy without the ability to stay close? Well, one, we can get across these curbs in a way that he doesn't. Right, we have a better run. What happens if we're in the slipstream? He's pulling away. We got a better run to start with, and we just don't have the power to keep up. Gonna have to do something. Wow, lift off, oversteer. Come on, this is driving like a go-kart almost. Perhaps there's some room to be found in the setup of the KTM, but this is a car you really have to stay on top of. I mean, all cars you have to stay on top of, but this one reminds you of it every corner. Right, much more gentle turn in this time. Was better. We got a good run. Right. I know I can run through this chicane a lot quicker than the car in front, so I need to back off a little bit. In fact, I'm actually going to back out a little bit earlier, smash across the curbs in a way I know the AI won't, and hope I'm going to be close enough for a run down into the second chicane. Look at him pull away. Oh, what can we do? We're going to have to send it.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
You may have noticed I didn't apply 100% brakes there. I really wanted to sort of force the point because there was going to be no other way past. I feel for anyone that wants to take the KTM crossbar at the moment. I think Zolder is probably the perfect track for it in terms of, wow, I'll brake myself.
Car on the right.
Zolder is probably the perfect track in the sense that it's one of the least important power-wise. I hit the rev limiter again. Again, I'm speaking to you guys and I haven't got the volume up very high, so I'm sort of missing the audio cues and running a little bit hard into the ABS as well. Some of the nuance of the driving's a little bit missing here. But I can't get past that undeniable fact that, yeah, it's just a bit slow in a straight line, this car. Right, we're going to come off the brake pedal really slowly here. And the lift-off oversteer was less prevalent, as you would expect, but it was still there. Still there again a little bit through turn 2. I don't know if that counts as turn 2 or 3, but it's this right-hander here where it's been most prevalent. We're going to try and coast through the first half of it. That seems to be the safest way to do so. Maybe got on the power a tiny bit early, but got away with it. Right. No worries about tyre pressures now. Let's see what we can actually do with this chicane. Turned in a bit too late. You can definitely carry more speed through there than I just did. That was... I almost totally avoided the left-hand curve. There's a lot more time to be gained. Same with this Villeneuve chicane. I just need to spend a bit more time at Zolder, I think, just because the track is so different in these GT4s than the GT3s. There you go. That's 8 tenths up this lap just by probing a couple of the limits. Right, the plan was to get back up to the back of the KTM, wasn't it? That was before I got repassed by the Mercedes and then had to deal with the AMG. Ooh, a bit deep going into the final chicane. What you will notice, though, is despite my mistakes, and, you know, I am making the car work quite a bit harder than it needs to while I'm talking to you guys and not really driving in a particularly refined way. This is definitely a car that needs slightly smoother hands. If you want to wrestle it, it wrestles back. But no, what you will notice is just how intuitive the driving is. I've had some massive moments driving this car in this race, and every time I've never felt like I was anywhere close to not catching it. Every moment of lift-off oversteer like I had there, even though I tried to gently coast it through the corner like I've been trying every lap, if I'm honest. Every moment like that has been very intuitive to capture. Let's try and get a bit more left curve this time. Wow, huge amounts of oversteer. Caught it though. That's sort of what I like about these GT4 cars. And the KTM, wow. Pretty much the same set of sounds. They're basically the same car, aren't they? The KTM in particular is so intuitive to drive. Actually used the lift off oversteer there as I was understeering quite wide of the apex, sort of sorted myself back out. There you go. But despite the bad driving, we have caught up with the KTM and the Corvette. It's not a Corvette. Why do I keep calling it that? It is a Camaro, which is sort of like a Corvette in almost no ways.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now.
I don't know, if I was getting a Corvette, it would probably be that colour. That's good enough for me. Anyhow, got rather distracted there by my own inability to process words. Not for the first time in this series of videos, I must say. But wow, yeah, this KTM Crossbow, if you want a fun drive, I mean, you can see how busy I am at the wheel of this car. Some of that is self-inflicted. Arguably, quite a lot of it's self-inflicted, but hopefully you're sort of getting a sense of just how on the limit this car is. Just those little micro snaps of oversteer. There you go, I'm going to try and be really gentle off of the brakes. I actually balanced it a little bit on the throttle there because I was terrified of going all the way down to 0% throttle. But yeah, it's a feisty car. We're going to have to brake a bit earlier for the chicane, not least of all because of the stupidity from the previous lap, but because I don't want to get caught up behind the other Crossbow. Now, of course, I don't have the problem I had against the BMW, where it was just so much quicker in a straight line, so this should be a pretty straightforward passing manoeuvre. If any kind of passing manoeuvre into that chicane is straightforward, that is. Bit slidey. I'm not sure I'd want to do a full hour-long race in this. I don't think I could keep the tyres in one piece. We have reached the final lap. It's obviously been pretty action-packed, so I've had no idea that 10 minutes has elapsed already. But there you go. That's the KTM Crossbow GT4. Made up 8 places. Not bad going, despite the fact that I spent most of the time going completely sideways in this total go-kart of a machine. You know what? I don't think it's fast. I don't think it's the right car to be going and setting outright lap times in, and it might be difficult to race against some of the other cars. As you can see, the Camaro just starts pulling away again once it gets into the mid-range. It's not just the Beamer. It's got some fundamental flaws that, I don't know, maybe it'll be addressed by the BOP, maybe not. Maybe that's just part of the design of the car. It is very different to the rest of them. But you can't fault it for the smiles per mile. But I have not had my feet on the pedals since we crossed the start-finish line. And I got mid-corner oversteer, then understeer. What a car. It is extreme fun. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out some of the other GT4 pack preview videos I'm doing, and more importantly, please do check out the proper review over on the main channel, which is significantly more coherent than this one was. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.